Noctua products. You'll find them in just about every machine we build here at the office, and if our staff aren't going for an RGB look at home, you can bet that they're using Noctua products for their zero compromises approach to performance and reliability. And it's with zero compromises in mind that we began our Noctua PC by finding an excuse to use the biggest fan efficiency offered. This 200 millimeter absolute unit of a cooling fan. There aren't actually a ton of cases out there that support this size. Even then, you have to be careful because this fan is 30 millimeters thick. That is 5 more millimeters than the standard 25. We're going to have this and everything that we've used linked in the video description below. So, just because a case comes with 200 millimeter fan support from the factory does not mean that it will support Noctuas as replacements. Looking at you, Lee. Now, obviously, a plain black case on its own wasn't good enough for a machine like this. So we had our resident Da Vinci work his magic with the paint booth, and wow, does this ever look amazing. Shout out Nicholas for really pushing this build to the next level. Look at this. We've even got Noctua themed back PCI covers. I just realized I never actually named the case we selected. It's the Masterbox H500 ARGB from Cooler Master, and the reason we chose it, aside from it fitting our 200 millimeter fans, is that this build is all about performance and airflow, and it certainly has that, with a full mesh front panel that supports not just one, but two of our 200 millimeter fans. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? And a large top vent, complete with magnetic fan filter that supports another two 140 millimeter fans, and finally, a single 120 millimeter exhaust at the back. The process for installing these is a little fun. You gotta pop the front panel off, just like that. We got this nice little mesh dome. Actually, love this from the airflow perspective. And then this bad boy is gonna be an intake for us. It's gonna go a little something like fan cable through. Oh my god, how are we gonna get this fan cable through here? I guess like that. Wow. Yep. That's gonna take up the whole space, all right. We're gonna use Noctua's cool little silicone vibration isolators to install our fans. So you just pop one of these bad boys through, a little something like this. A little tedious. But does that look freaking amazing or what? It's a giant wall of cooling performance. You simply cannot put anything in here that is not getting a blast of fresh air. My one regret is not enough Noctua fans. Thankfully. Oh, that's not an NFA14, but that's okay, because this is a 120 mil for the back. Oh my god, it's been so long since I've used these, I forgot how you're supposed to install them. You put the silicone things in the fan first. Oh, I should have. Oh, so dumb. Yeah, they're all in wrong. Oh my god. I had a brain brown fart moment here. I totally installed these wrong. It's been so long since I've used these. I normally just use screws. You put the long side into the fan, like I did, but you don't do it through the case. That's what this little notch right here is for. That's where the case sits. So for those of you who were head desking up until this point in the video, I'm sorry, I'm fixing it. So then you, oh wow, these holes are really tight. Okay, it went. Boy, was that ever a tight fit. Look at that vibration isolating goodness. Look at all that play. Maybe there were people out there screeching that it's supposed to go case side first when I did it the last time. I don't know, guys. I just use screws so that I can talk about our screwdriver. LTTstore.com. Not yet. So, yes, got it. All right. Now I have to line up 4 things at once instead of one at a time. And they're all floopsy. It's like getting a flaccid thing into a tight thing, you know? Hey, Noctua cable extensions. All right, let's put this back fan in. Yeah, with properly sized holes, this is a fair bit easier. Boom, done. Look at that. Installed. This is glorious. I don't even want to cut off the little nubbins. I say we keep them. Yeah, you can't even see the Our case wasn't the only piece that needed the Noctua treatment though, and our motherboard gave us plenty of opportunities to add color accents. X570 boards in general, and our TUF series from ASUS is no exception, often include active cooling for the chipset, giving us a perfect opportunity to replace that generic little whiny fan with one from Noctua. So to begin our operation, we put our baby little 40 by 10 millimeter Noctua under the knife, removing everything but the impeller and the fan blades themselves. Unfortunately, the heatsink shroud around the stock fan didn't really accommodate our thicker Noctua replacement, which necessitated some overly precise Tormach action to make it fit. But you can see how well it turned out. Enjoy it while you can though, because by the time the build is done, you won't be able to see it anymore. Oh boy. Well, that's not going to help. Turns out they do still need me for something. Oh, I guess we went with a 1TB WD Blue because it didn't matter what we chose because it's under a heatsink. If I was to choose an M.2 for this build based on the overall theme of reliability, I would probably go with something from Samsung. We don't have any experience with WD Blues dying in particular, but based on the numbers out of Puget, Samsung makes shockingly reliable SSDs, so there's just a degree of trust there that I don't necessarily have for this particular. On the subject of things you won't be able to see when we're done, there was no way we were going to be satisfied with any old power supply. So, knowing that Alex had already taken apart this AX1600i from Corsair, we thought it would be the perfect candidate for a little Noctua operation. A little snip of the cables, followed by some solder action, and the end result looks pretty darn near factory under this painted fan. I think we could have gone the... well, there's some problems. But they're cosmetic. They're cosmetic, okay? It's a good thing we replaced it too, because this fan ends up spinning up to its highest RPM during boot, and the factory Corsair unit, in my opinion, unacceptably loud. Easily the most noticeable one in the system. Though in fairness to Corsair, it would have immediately spun down to like 0. Okay, one thumb screw later. Power supply shroud comes off. It's actually a very easy case to work in. Very standard. Oh, this feels so wrong. I guess it doesn't really matter because we wouldn't see the fan anyway. It's covered in this shroud, but okay, we'll know it's there. Brandon, this is what I was thinking when I lost my train of thought. Corsair used to include, and apparently still does, little magnetic replacements for the labels. Look at that. Ha! Clean now. We are still going to cover it though. Little pro building tip, if you want to save yourself some hassle later, you can pre-install your modular cables on the motherboard and then run these as you're installing the board rather than once you've already put heat sinks and everything on here and it's real difficult to get at them. A couple other things we should probably install on the motherboard before going any further. We've got an AMD Ryzen 7 5800 X3D. It may only have 8 cores, but damn it, it uses their 3D V-Cache and is the fastest gaming CPU in their lineup. We'll get that boy popped in there. And we've actually got a second SSD. This is the one you guys are meant to believe we're booting off of, but it's mostly just for show. This is a Corsair MP600 SSD, so not even like top of the line anymore, but we just liked it because we could put it here and put a little Noctua fan on it and put it in like there. Unfortunately, there's nothing Noctua about our 64 gig kit of 3600 megatransfer per second crucial ballistics memory. We can't even put a Noctua cooler in it. Unless we make our own by 3D printing it is. Oh lordy. It's not the most elegant thing in the world. We're using motherboard screw holes. See that? Standard ATX screw holes to get this bad boy on here, but boy is that RAM ever going to be silent. Silent RAM. It's all like, bah, but not. Unfortunately, I managed to scuff our totally awesome professional rattle can paint job a little bit here, but that's okay, because I've got a little paint tip for you guys. Spray some of your paint onto a plastic surface like this, get a little stick or something like that, poke that in there, get some little touch-ups going on in here. Come check this out, Brandon. How's that? It won't have quite a perfect finish from 6 inches, but from 6 feet, you'd never notice it. So many things about this build feel out of order, but we've finally gotten to the CPU heatsink, and oh, come on. We gotta go with the classic, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, we actually obtained a black Noctua fan and then replaced it with a brown and tan one. Because, wait, cryo-rig thermal compound? Get this out of my face. Can't do the old Noctua PC without using Noctua thermal compound. Jeez. I guess that's what I get for asking stupid questions like, where's the thermal compound? Gee, I don't know, Linus, maybe in the box for the cooler. You know, it was actually a very Noctua-inspired process by which we brought our screwdriver to life. I remember having a conversation with their CEO where I said, well, to make the best fans, you guys must have the best engineers. And he kind of laughs and he goes, well, no, we have good engineers, but it's more about giving them the time to do their best work. And that's why it's taken 2.5 years to make a screwdriver. Oh, there he is. There you go. All right. One CPU cable. Two CPU cable. Come on, where is the other one? Corsair has these heat shrink tubes on their cables. There we go. Cool. We had wanted to have cable mod cables for this, matching our Noctua color scheme, but unfortunately, because of shipping delay, those 8 pins would not go in if they were not pre-installed at all. For our first screw, we're going top right, which means we're going to be using a custom length motherboard screw. This is because it's got to go through that 3D printed RAM cooler. Oh yeah, it's threaded. Nice. We're glossing over a lot of the cabling, but the summary is lots of extensions, lots of Y splitters. We've got all of these fans plugged into the motherboard headers. Now all we got to do is get some LTT strip cable ties now available in so many fun colors, though unfortunately not brown. Now it's time for the centerpiece of our build, the collab you did not know you needed, the Asus X Noctua RTX 3070. Wait, what are you putting a 3070 in here for? GPU prices are way better now. Let's go for the newer 3080 edition, shall we? It looks exactly the same. But that's not a bad thing. Everything about this design is performance first. From the backplate to the massive 120mm cooling fans to the 4.3 slot thickness. Though I do have to say, I wonder how much of the performance of it is Noctua's fan engineering and how much is just that it has a massive, massive heatsink with Asus added extra clearance here for the heatsink so that the airflow could kind of blow out around the card better. I love this. And you don't get it. You don't buy Noctua components for the looks. You buy them for the performance. That's their whole shtick. No one will care what it looks like if the performance is outstanding. Wow. Even the M.2 way down here on the board is, I would say, barely accessible. I think I could probably swap it out, but it wouldn't be easy. We do get one expansion slot. We've got this one PCIe by 1 down here. So that's good. Otherwise, this GPU is taking up the whole thing. As for cable management for our power connectors here, rather than come down to the power supply like this, we're going to go up and over, and we're going to strap it in really tight at the back to try to relieve some of the strain on our poor PCIe slot here. So bear with me. I wouldn't really recommend this, but I am doing it, so maybe that would be good. Okay, let's see. Is it more level? Actually, not bad. Well, bad, but not unattractive. All this stuff now is to fire it up. You can hear it a little. You can hear it a little. The old Noctua PC does make a little bit of noise, but give it a second. I suspect that's just the GPU ramping up. Oh, it's the power supply. Apply our memory overclock profile, I can share with you some fun things about our peripherals. This may be RGB up the butt, but what's that? Brown switches from Gateron? And, well, this is more just story time than anything else. This was the one gaming mouse we could find with a fan in it. We really wanted to put a Noctua fan in there, but they don't make one that small, so it is now the loudest part of this build. Oh, wow, what is this, Windows 95? What is happening? Allow me to just finish up my desktop wallpaper here. We're obviously gonna have to get in game for a while, but guys, I've got the panel closed. This thing is so quiet. Wow, our GPU's at 330 watts, running at 64 degrees. And I can barely hear the bloody thing. That is wild. How's our CPU doing? Oh, I don't know, maybe 67 degrees while drawing. Oh, okay, that's only 62 watts. I guess that fan just hasn't even ramped up. I swear, I can hear a computer over on the short circuit set better than I can hear this one. It is so quiet. And this is in-game now. This is legitimately in-game. The one thing the PC can't cool, though, is me. Thankfully, though, I have this. Let's see if we can do a little better here. Yeah. I mean, you gotta test it in the real world, Brandon. I don't know why the FPS counter's not working. That's extremely frustrating. Pretty quiet, eh?
This fan at the back has got some toast, though. It's hot.
Is it hot in there?
Oh, here, let me help you with that. That one's pretty quiet.
No, this one's pretty loud. Yeah, this is not an actual Noctua product. And it's not very quiet. The rig, though, is. The only awkward part of the conversation is the price. We've got somewhere in the neighborhood of $400 worth of fans in here. Well outside the budget of most people when it comes to configuring a gaming rig. But hey, you can't fault the performance. Or, in my humble opinion, the look. Because this may be one of the most ironically gorgeous builds we've ever done. And this may be one of the most gorgeous segues I've ever done to our sponsor, Mine. Thanks, Mine, for sponsoring this video. Your digital footprint is valuable.
Target, the low prices never end.
This is a word that's more than a word.
$10,000 of plastic chips. Ow. Not to mention the $2,500 special box to look at them in. 20 grand worth of mannequins. Looking good, bro. Everyone here seems to want a Mac. Literally thousands of dollars of neodymium magnets. $1,000 in network gear. A small apartment for some reason? Expensive edition pillow, anyone? You've undoubtedly heard me mention LTTstore.com, but what you might not know is that we've got a dedicated facility with over a dozen staff who work here, which means that this place is an absolute freaking cash sink, which is why I'm extremely grateful to sponsors like Roborock for sending over their S7 Max V Ultra. This bad boy does dirt. It does mopping. It automatically switches between them and even docks itself. The Ultra model, that is, anyway. Empties out its dirty water, empties out its solid waste, refills its water tank. It's freaking amazing. And you know who cleans up every other mess around here? Let's start in customer care. We've got Adam there, and I'm filling in for Nolan. These guys care so much about answering your support tickets as fast as possible that they've got 300 hertz displays. Why do you guys need gaming laptops? Of course, you guys didn't tune in to see the stuff we already made. Let's leak some stuff we're working on. An obvious one is socks and sandals. So what you're looking at here is basically every prototype LTT sock that we've ever brought in. The problem is that while many of these are pretty good and some are really good, none of them are as good as my daily drivers from Darn Tough. So until we can match this level of quality, we just aren't going to do it. As for the sandals, the cost of doing the plastic molds for all the different sizes is going to be astronomical. So it's a project we keep kind of kicking down the road. Here's why this hoodie was delayed for about a year. See the gradient here? From up close, it looks like absolute dog. By comparison, here's what the final one ended up looking like. It's a much smoother gradient. Ooh, this is cool. I'll be able to give more details later, but in a nutshell, this is a modular acoustic panel system that promises to offer a balance between the cost of DIY and the convenience of like a pre-done commercial kit, opposed to just kind of snap together. There's going to be all different shape. But first, fashion. Unfortunately, Bridget, our senior designer, is not in today, but that's okay. Matthew's here. He's actually working on some baseball cap concepts. A lot of what you're going to see in this corner of the office is going to be at very, very early stages of development. Ooh, a reversible bomber jacket. Why reversible, you might ask? Because who wouldn't want to wear an interlocked LTT logo bomber jacket? It says LTT all over it. That was a Matthew creation. There's lots more going on here too. We've got the super comfy pajama pants, the retro-inspired polar fleece. We've got the tech pants. We've got the 3D down printed jacket things. It's so freaking warm. Swim trunks. Lots more colors of our plaid flannels that have gotten such amazing reviews. And my personal favorite that Matthew is working on right now, whereas this one. Oh yeah, doing a tracksuit. This we've leaked before, but we've got a second round of samples of what will be the WAG hoodie. They're not going to be cheap because they're actually built to the same standard as the regular WAN hoodie, but they'll be stylish. We don't have air conditioning in this building yet. They quoted me $100,000 to do this place. It's only 4,000 square feet. So I go back to them and I'm like, hey, why are you quoting ducted AC? Why don't you quote mini splits? And they come back and it's like a quarter. It's madness. What are you working on? Oh, I don't think we're talking about this, right? No, we don't talk about that. Wait, we have a full-size run of WAG hoodie? I didn't know we were that close on this. And finally, we're restocking our classic colors of the LTT underwear. We have ended up switching suppliers for these, I think 4 or 5 times, whether it's come down to print quality, factory conditions, supply lead time. I don't know what all the different reasons have been, but it's been really frustrating, and we are finally ready to go again with something that meets our standards. So, yay! In here is the archive. This is where you'll find one of pretty much everything. So if we ever had to dig up an old garment, some of the samples that we bought from other companies just for inspiration or for competitive testing, for example, this is one of all of our original run of our colored tees. That way we have something to compare against if we get a subsequent order and the color or the materials or whatever else is way off. Obviously, with such treasures as the last remaining brand new Lambo edition beanies in here, security is a big priority, so massive shout out Ubiquity. Unparalleled image quality, the app's amazing, they're all PoE, so you just have to run a network cable to wherever you go. They had AI detection for people and events, which actually ties perfectly into our sponsor. Roborock also uses machine learning for their reactive AI 2.0 obstacle avoidance. They've got cameras for out in front, and they can recognize and avoid up to 27 types of obstacles, so there's no need to pick up hazards off your floor, which is good because our floor is full of lots of hazards, like all these 40-ounce water bottles and this giant TV. It's got 5 different suction modes, including up to 5,100 Pascal suction, so it'll pick up just about anything you throw at it, and their Viberize mopping system scrubs your floor rather than just vacuuming. This place has a whopping 3 bathrooms. This bathroom has a toilet right here behind the door, and then you've got a door out to engineering on this side. Sup, engineering?
Nice intro.
Thanks, it's a Liao original.
The 90s.
We've got a lot of smart comments for someone who hasn't launched a product in the 18 months he's worked here. Oh, here they are. The first, we thought they were golden samples, but then we actually found one last problem that is now fixed. Because of community feedback, we will be launching it in both silver and black shaft variants, by the way, and it will be available in orange black and black colorways, so a little something like that. The reality is, when you want to not just match, but beat respected, experienced tool manufacturers like these guys, it's just a non-trivial task. We've got the back force, so light. We've got the sound, great. But getting that tactile click on the selector, that's taken some doing. It's the little details that matter, okay? What's he got in here? 3D printed, early handle designs. There's going to be a whole video about this whole thing. Last Taiwan ratchet, we had that whole thing where our supplier for the ratchets got bought by...
Don't put that in, please.
To all the people who think that we supposedly just silk screened our logo onto a Mega Pro driver, here's a Mega Pro driver, here's ours. Does that look like the same driver? No, I didn't think so. There's a big difference between licensing someone's patent and putting your logo on their product. Ooh, the network closet. Man, one of the coolest projects we did for the build out here was their air fiber internet connection. They're connected to the main office, which is about 50 paces that way, by a dish that comes into this switch setup right here, also from Ubiquiti, and then is distributed to the entire building. Have you guys had so much as a hiccup in your internet connectivity?
Yes.
One of the SMP connections.
Yeah.
From these,
Oh, I mean, other than that one. Other than that one.
No, but like every time I was decided to fucking update, we lose it to the problems.
Oh, really?
It happens frequently.
Have you told Jake? I'm sure that could be.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
If you didn't get software updates, you'd be crying there's no software
Out of the
updates.
middle of the workday.
I mean, he says he's working, but have they shipped a product yet?
Do you want your screwdriver?
Not where you want to put it right now, probably. You hit all your stuff. Potentially a super open gaming mouse. This is kind of an early concept for what the ergonomics might be like. You can see it's 3D printed. Our intention would be to release all the schematics so you could actually 3D print your own enclosure for it if you really wanted. But with high-end hardware, and we mean high-end, 1,000 hertz polling, we're at like 700 now, right?
We're at 700 over Bluetooth-ish and 1,000 over USB.
Still some work to do, but we also want to make it so that you can easily swap out the switches. It should basically be the last mouse. We can't call it.
Don't put that in.
Oh my god, there's been so many revisions of the acoustic panels. Good gravy. Hexagons. I think that we're pretty settled on this snap together mechanism that you came up with.
Yeah, so it'll clip together and come apart. You don't need any tools to build it.
Oh, and this is another tie-in project, which is a lot more difficult than you might think, okay? This is so close to launch, only one small problem. If you want to launch a children's product, there's all these certifications and stuff that you have to go through. Basically, there's this small parts cylinder test fixture thing, and you have to make sure that nothing fits in there because that determines whether it's a choking hazard, and then there's the paints and varnishes that you use, but it'll be a while before we can see some light of day. It's not just Kyle. The whole engineering department actually hasn't launched a product yet. What do you got, Jacob? Would you believe this man spent weeks of his life learning the optimal ways to position magnets for maximum grab force?
I actually have the simulation of it.
Do you really?
Yeah. The geometry is basically rotationally symmetric. You can distill three-dimensional physics down to two-dimensional stuff. Here I've got a cross-section of the magnet. You can imagine that if it was taken
Really was a ton of work that he put into this whole make them as strong as possible thing. But I mean, not yet because they haven't shipped the products yet. But do you have anything else going on right now?
We have the joystick lock.
Can you give me an old prototype that doesn't work very well?
Just about anything.
Basically, we identified a problem. And the problem is that joysticks die. If you're transporting them, they're very likely to end up kind of mashed against something in your bag or whatever else the case may be. So we set out to solve the aforementioned problem with some kind of support mechanism for the joystick to keep it from getting bumped and jostled when it's being moved around. More workstations for when we hire more engineers, which we might do once we ship some screwdrivers. This is a cool one. I'm really not going to tell you what this is. No, I'm not going to tell them what this is. Oh, Where's the shoe dryer?
It's in a place in my docket called Silicon Valley. Shout out to any PCB designer that has to redesign their board 7 times to release a product, because as soon as you design something, it sells out.
Well, it's a battery-powered fan that will basically like dry your shoes or dry out your gym bag. It's just because I wanted one, and also because a lot of the engineering work to build it would be applicable to other projects like RGB, doormat, whatever.
Replaceable.
It's gonna be an idiot.
Hello, Linus. You need to come upstairs.
Yeah, I'd love to. I just gotta run to the washroom first. Well, don't follow me in here, weirdo. Aside from video calling, the app includes a 3D mapping feature that you can even decorate with furniture like your space. Not that this particular space is particularly furnished. Hi, Sarah. What are you working on?
Send it back to us, and then we can add it to our goal in the future.
Yeah, you guys should totally do it. We've gotten some. Wow, some of these are amazing. Look at this one. How fun is that?
It warms my heart every day that I receive
I
one.
love it. This is Nick and Natalie's office. They are both out of office today. Nick's got a prototype desk pad though. This one will never see the light of day because I didn't like the pixelated LT2 logo, but it's kind of cool, right? I don't even fully understand what this room is. I see packaging mock-ups. Hey Sarah, do you have that super cool shoelaces package? Here's our packaging for our shoelaces. Wait, what's this called again? The nap, color nap. Yeah. We have a gray version of this t-shirt that's also got the little color flex in it, and the drawstrings. We're gonna have matching shoelaces, and they're gonna come in a little power supply box. How cute is that? And then they'll stick out like this. What else is going on in here? Our temp set, coffee mugs, never found anything. Oh yeah, bananas for scale. Various versions of a potential WAN tube or beanie, the ill-fated coasters. Yeah, these are super cool. Too bad they all broke in shipping. A GPU pillow with RGB. Ooh, this is fun. These won't be launched by the time this video comes out, but they'll be very close. That's right, 64-ounce versions of our circuit board water bottles. Now we get to the really weird part of the tour. The people that we bought this unit from managed to get the permit for the caretaker suite. So they were actually living upstairs. The layout was super weird. You had to go all the way around engineering, all the way back up through fashion, and all the way up to get to that side. We decided to open it up, and this is now the employee lunchroom. We've got a washer and a dryer, which it wouldn't surprise me to find things inside. Yep. This is our color block hoodie, and one of the big challenges that we ran into with this one was that the bold colors were bleeding onto the light colors in the wash. So this is a new sample that's treated in a way that will not allow that to happen. And as you can see any color bleed? Yeah, you go. One nice thing that the previous owners did, there's like 60 Ethernet jacks in this 4,000 square foot place. There should be plenty of network connectivity. Like, look at the size of this room. Okay, this is a Linus for scale. How could I possibly hope to cram 4 people in here unless I start stacking them? Lloyd, you moved your desk. I went over there and I was like, Lloyd still works here, right? Sarah's like, oh yeah. What's the deal?
It was too hot.
All right, well, I'll just move to where the air conditioning is. Okay, that makes sense.
Well, no one's using it.
Well,
He says wearing a sweater.
what is happening? What are you working on right now, Lloyd? What can we leak to the people? Okay. Anything else to show the people? It's the people. Yeah, we're thinking of doing like a laser cut wooden bookmark. These ones are a little on the thick side still, and we unfortunately cut them out going the wrong way with the grain. So they like snap in half, which is not a desirable quality, but we're working on it. It's early stages. This is gonna be a little like, it's like a soft silicone, kind of a lamp. So it's gonna look kind of like that, and then it'll be opaque all around it, and the screen will glow whatever color. It's probably yeah, okay. Here's the front stairs, which you haven't even seen yet. These are a real time saver. This one's not particular of non-gaming, small form factor desktop workstations with between 3 to 20 liters, a minimum 3 ISB certifications, configurable professional graphics, and a dedicated workstation brand as of March 2022. Good gravy! I mean, by that kind of logic, based on my analysis, I have the most subscribers on YouTube of people with at least 8 channels that make tech videos based in Surrey, Canada. And we haven't even started on the price. Much like the Mac Studio, this thing is very expensive. I mean, I get it. It's a business system, so there is a premium. You do get some benefits from it. The parts have undergone extra reliability testing. It uses a workstation chipset, ECC memory, ISV certification, you know, the whole corporate kit and caboodle. But charging $1,100 for a 12900K, that is $500 over retail for the privilege of running it throttled? That's just insulting. HP, this could have been a very sleek, capable workstation. And for less powerful components, it still could be an excellent fit for your business. But as configured, it simply shouldn't exist. You know what should, though? Our sponsor,
Jackery. Whether you're looking to make margaritas on the beach, living that van life, or preparing to leave civilization, the Jackery Explorer 2000 Pro portable solar generator has all the juice you need to keep all of your devices energized. The massive 2,000 watt-hour capacity and 2,200 watt output allows for 8 devices to be plugged in simultaneously. With a 100% charge from an AC wall outlet in just 2 hours, you can get in and out before anyone has even noticed you're there. Or pair your power station with an array of Jackery's Solar Sega 200 watt solar panels for a full charge in as little as 2.5 hours and rid yourself of the need to even step a foot indoors again. Jackery has a special Prime Day offer coming up on July 12th where you can save $900 on the Explorer 2000 Pro and 2 Solar Sega 2000 watt solar panels. Check out the Jackery Explorer 2000 Pro at the link down below and make sure you bookmark their Amazon page so you're ready for that sweet Prime Day offer.
thanks for watching. HP, seriously, you guys need to get your stuff.
What is up, guys? Today I'm going to talk to you about monitors, Mac OS, and why I return my 4K monitor for a 1440p version of the exact same thing. Let's get into it. So this was a topic that I was trying to research when it was an issue for me and I was trying to find answers, but I couldn't find a lot of information on it other than some forum posts and Reddit posts and things that I was getting varied answers because it was people's opinions, but I didn't find really any good videos about it, so I wanted to put this out there. I, for a long time, was running on a 1080p 24-inch monitor, very not accurate on colors and such, and I got kind of sick of editing all my photos on my MacBook screen because I didn't trust the colors on my external monitor. So I figured it was time for an upgrade, and I ended up going with the Asus ProArt display, and I'm going to do a full review of it in the future, but for now, this is not the review. So I originally bought the 4K version of this Asus ProArt display. Had HDR, all the same specs as this one and some extras, 100% sRGB, so on and so forth. Really nice monitor made for designing and photo editing and really just creative work. And I was super excited that I got a 4K monitor and that I was gonna finally have like a huge upgrade from the original monitor that I'd been using for 6-7 years. So I ordered the 4K version, waited about a week, and it came in. And right off the bat, looked amazing. However, there was one issue. When I plugged it into my MacBook, everything was very large. And after going into the settings on my MacBook, I realized that the recommended and the, like, what it defaults to is scaling a 4K 27-inch monitor at 1080p. Diving a little bit deeper into this, First of all, if you were to scale it at 4K on a 27-inch monitor, everything is super tiny and it's not comfortable to use. So what Mac OS does is it cuts that in half and scales it at 1080p because it's technically like a native scaling for a 4K monitor and how Mac OS works. And so it was scaling everything pretty large, and so it was technically more room than my 24-inch 1080p monitor, but not really. It was just bigger, but still like the windows and text and everything was pretty large. It felt like my mom's phone or my grandmother's phone where they have the text enlarged, and it felt really weird. And so I went in and downscaled it to a 1440p scaling for the UI, which at first fixed it. It looked like this, everything on the screen was the correct size, and I was like, okay, cool, problem fixed. However, in your monitor settings for the scaling, on a 4K 27-inch, you have a few options. The default is 1080p, and that is, it says, show text larger on screen. And then the 4K, it says show text smaller or show UI smaller on screen. And those are the only two that are like the obvious. It wants you to pick these. And then in between 1080p scaling and 4K, there were a couple options. I believe there was 3. There was 2 random ones that I don't remember exactly, and then in the middle there was 1440p scaling, which on a 27-inch monitor is really comfortable for Mac OS. However, when you click any of those in-between resolutions, you get a little pop-up that says using a scaled resolution can hurt your performance. And so I was like, a scaled resolution. What does that mean? All of this is scaling. These are all different scales. I had to dive deeper into this, and this is where I had trouble finding information on this. And after I did find some really nice articles, but nothing that gave me just like a direct answer right off the bat.
I've been daily driving a Mac for over 20 years, and every time I set up a new machine, there are a bunch of settings I have to turn on and a bunch that I have to turn off. Some are obvious and some are really not. I want to share with you my methods today so that you can make the Mac as best as it can possibly be. We're going to start by disabling some of the settings, because while most of the defaults are pretty good, there are a few that I don't love, and there's one in particular that makes my blood boil, and it's so terrible that anytime I find a Mac with it on, I throw it across the room. It's in System Preferences, under Keyboard, Text, this motherfucker right here, correct spelling automatically. This is a horrible, horrible thing, because it is iOS autocorrect, but on the Mac, and unlike on a little tiny touchscreen keyboard where you're fat fingering stuff, you will not do that with a full-size keyboard, and if you do, well, there's a spell check. This should not exist. It's terrible. It corrects a bunch of stuff that you don't want corrected, and it uses the same iOS, like the little tiny little blue X, and you gotta go over with your mouse and click it. It's terrible. Turn it off. There are a couple of other things associated with this that I also turn off, but you can leave them enabled, like capitalize words automatically and add a period with a double space. That one's helpful if you're like 500 and you learned how to type on a typewriter. I learned how to type, not on a typewriter, but by a lady that was 500. She's probably not alive. Miss Atwood. I'm a fast typer. She taught me how to type good. Just... Next up, extensions, more specifically, the share menu. If you're inside of the Apple ecosystem, the share sheet is fantastic, but this thing can get pretty messy pretty fast with a bunch of apps that you're probably not actually going to use. As you add third-party apps as well, these will be added into this menu, and oftentimes they are enabled by default, resulting in a very cluttered share menu that when you go to use it, you're like, man, where is that app? Just disable all the stuff you don't use. When was the last time you used Apple Books? I didn't even know this made that. Turn that off. News, all these ones that you're not going to choose to use, turn those off so that you can focus on the ones that you want to use when you're going to share something. Next up, Siri, the voice assistant that can do no wrong, or in some cases, most cases, do no right. A lot of people just choose to disable Siri altogether on their Mac, and that's understandable, but I think if you restrain it properly, it can be useful. The biggest annoyance with it is that it just talks back to you. Shut up, I don't want to hear you. Turning off voice feedback disables it from replying to you audibly. So unless you have some accessibility reason to leave it on, it's much handier because you're looking at the screen. It's not like it's across the room. You're staring at your Mac. And this will allow you to, well, just read its response instead of listen to its response. But sometimes you're in an environment where you don't want to talk to Siri at all. you want to use Siri, but you don't want to be in a cafe saying, hey, what's the weather? So if you go into accessibility and then scroll down to Siri, there's actually something called enable type to Siri. Now, if I press the Siri icon, I can type a prompt. So I can say, what is weather? And I can misspell it, and it still gives me the weather, which is really, really great. But I still have Hey Siri enabled, so that when I say that, it shows up, and there you go. It's going to respond to me in kind. Pretty handy indeed. Let's talk about the dock. The dock is often misunderstood by a lot of people, and I think that they're not utilizing it properly. First of all, get rid of all the applications that you don't use with frequency. There's a bunch of defaults on here that you just don't need. It should be the location where you have the applications that you're using with the most frequency and or other active applications. But there are some settings that I think you should change beyond that. If you go into dock and menu bar inside of the system preferences, there's a few in particular that I think should be changed absolutely. And the first one is the position on the screen. Do not put your dock at the bottom, and here's why. When the dock came out in the early 2000s, when Mac OS was new, displays were not widescreen. They were like 4x3. They were almost square, and so you had a lot of vertical real estate. We don't have a lot of vertical real estate anymore, but most of the content that we're doing on a computer is vertical, and the reason that our displays are widescreen is for content viewing. And so you don't want to lose the already very limited vertical space you have. And so I suggest putting the dock on the left or the right side of the screen so that it's out of your way and gives you more vertical real estate. I choose the left, and you might be wondering, well, why? Because isn't all of your content over there? And it is, and that's why I keep my dock over here. In Cyrillic languages, where you read left to right, having your dock on the left side of the screen is great, because that's where most of the action is. But you will notice that, well, it's kind of in the way. And so I choose to automatically hide and show the dock. But my frustration with this has always been that it reveals itself way too slowly. There's a delay and then a slow animation. And so it just becomes inconvenient. I'm going to show you how to fix that later in this episode, but there's a couple other things that I also choose to change. The first one is minimization. By default, if I minimize a window, it does the genie effect, where it kind of sucks it down into the dock. And this is cute, but it gets annoying after a while, because if you have larger windows, it takes a lot of time to do this. Change this to the scale effect. It's not as sexy, but it goes away very quickly, and that is something that I much prefer using. So get rid of that. Scale effect is the way to go. And then the last thing that I would recommend changing as well is getting rid of recent applications in the dock. See, I'm going to show you how to change this delay, because it's already pissing me off. And you'll notice that all of my recent applications are open. That's a thing that was added semi-recently. I don't like it because it makes my dock feel more cluttered. It adds crap in there that doesn't need to be there. Make your dock optimized. It's not supposed to be confusing and cluttered. It's supposed to be the workflow center, and so allow it to be that. Oh, one thing that I almost forgot about the dock. I have been leaving system preferences in the dock, which is something that I have never traditionally done, and there's a reason for me leaving it here. If you right-click system preferences when it's closed, it shows you all of the categories in system preferences, and so I can just click a network, and it automatically opens the network pane without me having to go out and find the ridiculous, setting inside of 5 menu. It's just great, and boy, do I like it. The last setting that I recommend you disable, or at minimum change, is hot corners. Hot corners have been around forever, and more recently, Apple changed it to this quick note function within Notes. It's dumb, it's slow, I don't like it. They just brought it to the Mac because it's on the iPad, and it's like, who wants that? Maybe you do, but you're wrong. So go into Desktop and Screensaver, then go to Screensaver, then click Hot Corners. If this seems like a dumb place to put it, it's because you're right, it's very dumb. But this is where you can choose each corner's function. Again, I don't like Quick Note. I've always had this displayed in the desktop, because that's kind of like Windows, where you drag your cursor down to the right corner, and boom, everything gets out of the way so that you can see your desktop, you can interact with it, you can drag stuff. It's fantastic. And then when you want to bring all your windows back, you just drag it to the outside, you click, and boom, we're in business. Very, very handy. But there are hot corners for everything. You can launch Mission Control. You can start and disable your screensaver. You can open Launchpad. That's the thing that no one uses with this. I bet it's the first time you ever used it before, because it's dumb. Anyway, hot corners are fantastic, and you should customize them to your liking. now that we've got all the yucky stuff disabled we don't like, I'm going to enable a couple of settings. And spoiler alert, almost all of these are inside of the macOS Finder, but one of them is inside of System Preferences. And it is, it's the layout of this app. It's never made sense to me. This is organized apparently by category, of which there are 2, and the categories make no sense. I don't understand how mission control and security and privacy are related, and then how, battery and startup disk are related. That doesn't make any sense to me. The categories are stupid. Now, you can access an alphabetical list through the View menu, just like you can inside of the dock, but you can also just organize the main menu alphabetically instead. Of course, you can rely on the search function, and that's something I often do, but if you've been using a Mac for a long time and you know where stuff is, it's nice to just look it up by alphabetization. Yeah, and be able to find the thing you're looking for. Okay, let's talk about Finder. Finder has been around for ages, and it has gotten, over the years, fairly complex, but they've also tried to simplify it, and in so doing, a lot of really great power features that you probably want are disabled by default, and let's turn those puppies back on. So we're first going to enter the Finder Preferences. And inside of Finder Preferences, you'll find this little window that is very tiny and looks quite old. And there are some things that I always turn on every new Mac. The first one is that I choose to show the hard disk. I'm old school. I like having that on my desktop. And that's something that I choose to enable. The other thing is when you open a new window, it always by default shows recents. And it looks okay right now, but as soon as I add more files to my file system, this just becomes a cluttered, ugly, confusing mess with crap you've downloaded and just photos. It's horrible. Okay, so I choose to change my new Finder window to the desktop, but you can change it to any folder that you so choose. Once you've done that, let's talk about the sidebar, because the sidebar by default I think is okay, not great. If you go to sidebar, you can enable and disable anything you want in this menu. Again, I never use recents. I turn that off. I don't like it. But there are things like my home folder that I do want easily accessible. So turn all the stuff that you want available to show up. And if there's things you don't want showing up, like tags, for example, I never use tags, just get rid of them. And then once you've done that, you can go into your specific window and you can drag these in order to sort them. I always do this order. It doesn't really make sense necessarily, but that's the way I've always done it. And so that's the way I like it. So organize this in a way that makes sense to you. Once you've done that, head over to the Advanced tab in Finder Preferences, and you will find a setting that is the best setting ever that I don't know why it's disabled, and that is Show All File Name Extensions. Now sometimes, like in this case, it shows you that it's an RTF, but there's a lot of file types, like for example, Affinity Photo and Adobe Photoshop PSD files. They never, there's nothing visual that notes that in the system, and so you're like, what is this? And you have to go into Info. It's annoying. So just click Show All File Name Extensions, and then hey, there you go. Now we can see that it is .alfred preferences, .pdf, and then this one apparently never had .rtf available. So there we go. That's a weird bug. This is a fantastic way to make things more visible. But that's just from a preferences standpoint. Let's talk about actually viewing and interacting with content. And the first place we're going to do that is the toolbar. If you go into View inside of the Finder and click Customize Toolbar, you will find a bunch of stuff that's not in here by default, and some of it for good reason. I mean, how often are you burning a CD, right? But there are a lot of things that you may want to add, and one that I think you must add because it is fantastic is AirDrop. If you add AirDrop in the menu, you'll see that, well, there's nothing that it does. It just is blank. But as soon as I select a file, any file, even just one, it becomes solid. And if I click that, then an iOS-style AirDrop window pops up and I can share it. This is so much better. And if I select more files, there you go. It just sends all of them. This is way better than the default behavior of having to drag over to the AirDrop window, waiting for the device to show up. Hopefully it shows up, and then once it does, this sucks, okay? So just enable the AirDrop icon inside of your toolbar. It is fantastic. Definitely worth trying. And, there's a bunch of others that you should maybe consider customizing as well. There's a lot of stuff in here. Okay, once you've done that, there are two very important settings as far as I'm concerned, and they're old school macOS settings, but they provide actually useful information in your file browser designed to browse files. And that is under View, Show Path Bar, and View, Show Status Bar. The path bar will show you, and there is no path right here because we're in recents, but it'll show you the hierarchy on your disk of where you're located. Now you can also right-click the name up here, and that will show you as well. But that's not quite as intuitive. This is a really good way to be able to jump forwards and backwards inside of your file system with ease. And then the benefit about the status bars, which should be obvious, it tells you how many items are in a folder, if you have items selected, what their size is, and how much hard disk space is available. You also have the ability to, if I'm on an actual thing that has files in it, to increase and decrease the size of the icons, which is handy if you're in icon views. This is list view. I go to icons. There you go. Big and small. Let's talk about one last thing that pretty much does a similar function, and that is pressing Command J. This is also in the view menu as view options. If you look at this window, you'll go, wow, nobody has touched this in 20 years, and that's because they probably haven't. This has been in macOS forever. But it is a really good way because you can set settings per a folder. So I'm in Downloads right now, and anything I change in here is relevant just to the Downloads folder. So I can say, for example, always show this to me in a list view or in an icon view. Group them by kind in this specific folder, but not in other folders, or sort them by this, or make the icons larger over here. Or you can say, where is it? Yeah, put the label off to the right side. That's what I do in a couple of folders. This is very handy. In fact, you can even go further than this, and this is one thing that is a little weird, but once you get used to it, you might really like it. You can change the background of a window into a color or to a picture. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth would I want to make something lime green? And, well, you don't. But you might want to make it the very slightest tinted color, because what I've done in the past is I'll tint things to a specific folder, and then I instantly know where I am on my file system without having to look at desktop or whatever, because I just know, oh, it's light blue, that's my desktop. There is a lot of stuff in here that you can do that's pretty cool. Much of this is in pre-Mac OS 10. It's been here forever, but the view options section is pretty darn cool. Now let's talk about some of the stuff to finish that you cannot do with regular settings that you need to run terminal commands for, like that dock. There are some handy ones. In order to run terminal commands, well, we need to open up the command line, which can be done by, well, finding terminal inside of Spotlight or opening the application from within the utilities folder inside of the applications folder. Spotlight's easier. Once you've got terminal open, well, basically all we're going to do is paste commands. All of these commands, as well as the commands to revert these settings, should you wish to do so, are found in the description below. But I also want to just talk you through them because they're pretty simple if you read them out in plain and simple language. So we are going to write to con.apple.dock, which is the plist for the preferences for our dock. And the values that we're going to change are the auto hide delay and the auto hide time modifier. They also have integer values. These do two things. The first one is how long it takes for the dock to decide to start coming out. It's because they don't want you to move your dock over here and for it to instantly appear. I think that's what you should do, and I'll show you in a second. But there's the delay, and then there's also the time for the actual dock to appear, how long that animation takes, as well as kill all dock at the end, which, well, quits our dock and then restarts it without us needing to reboot the computer. If we run the command, you will find that the dock turns into a very useful, amazing thing, where as soon as I move my cursor over, the dock instantly appears, and as soon as I pull away, it instantly disappears. This is why I love having my dock on the left side of the screen. It is fast, it is there, and it makes hiding it not seem so slow. If you choose that this is, well, a little bit too fast for you, you can change these values. Change it from 0 and 0 to 0.5 or to 0.8. It's just the time in seconds before it decides to reveal itself. This is a very handy way to get your dock out much faster, and as far as I'm concerned, I really can't use a dock without it. Just try it for a week, and you'll come back here and say, you are right, I'm sorry. Benjamin's shaking his head, but he's wrong, because he hasn't tried it. But he'll come back in a week, just like you. I'll wait. See you in a week. Next up, dock spacers. I'm going to paste this command, press enter, you'll see the screen flash, and then when I drag my cursor over to the dock, you'll see what the heck, there's a hole in it. Well, that's a spacer. If you have a lot of stuff in your dock and or you want to organize your dock by category, spacers are really handy because you can drag them and say, okay, everything up here, this is work stuff, and then I've got personal stuff below. And it just functions like any app icon would. If you press it, well, nothing happens because it's a spacer. If you decide you don't want it anymore, you just drag it off the dock like anything else. And, well, you have to wait long enough. There we go. It says remove, and now it's gone. That's pretty cool. That's a dock spacer. Who is the subservient one? You or the computer? Who's the boss? Right, so why do you let it boss you around? Anytime you're using external media and you remove it without ejecting it manually, it's like, it wasn't ejected properly. Look, macOS is still a little brat about this. Windows doesn't care, Linux doesn't care, macOS does. And not only does it yell at you for doing it, but you physically, manually have to dismiss these commands one by one. There's a lot of scenarios, especially where this is annoying. Like if you have media plugged into your display and your display goes to sleep and then the media unmounts and then you open up your computer and there's like 12 notifications about it. It's stupid, okay? And look, boomers. Technically, yeah, back in the day this was a problem, but this is not 1984 anymore, it's 2022. And in 99.99999% of the instances, removing your media is not going to be a problem. If something is mission critical, yes, eject it properly. But you shouldn't be yelled at if you don't, because who frickin' cares? So, go into Terminal, paste this command, enter your admin password, reboot your computer, and you're done. macOS will shut up and won't yell at you if you take stuff out. Asterisk. There is one small disclaimer. There is a new macOS update that just came out literally the other day, macOS 12.4. Now on macOS 13, that is in beta right now, this command still works. But in macOS 12.4, it does not. I'm hoping that this is a bug and that it will come back. But if it doesn't come back, if this is the new future, there are third-party apps that are free that do this exact same thing. They just run in your menu bar instead. One of them is called Ejectify. If you go download that app, I've used it before, it works great. It sits up in your menu bar and you can tell it, hey, whenever I get a notification about this, shut up and dismiss it automatically before I see it. It's a very handy thing. You should do it. macOS, stop being a little baby, okay? I love screenshots in macOS. macOS is just fantastic about taking screenshots relative to Windows and other operating systems out there. It just works great. But here's the problem. It saves them by default in .png. These are very large, very uncompressed files. So I just took a screenshot of my desktop and it's 24 megabytes. There are not many websites, for example, that I could go to and upload this without running into issues. And .png in and of itself is not super widely supported. So there is a terminal command that I will show you, and I'm just going to type it out because it's so simple. Defaults, write com.apple.screencapture, type, and check this out, .jpg. If I type JPEG, bada boom, bada bing, I'm going to take a full screenshot again, and instead of being 24 megabytes, it is, let's see, 2. JPEG is just a more widely accepted format. It's much better for web, which is typically where you're sharing screenshots anyway. This is a great way to take screenshots in JPEG without having to convert them. Now, you can change this to anything you want. You could do TIFF, you could do GIF, you can do any type of format that you like, and it works great and it's fantastic, but JPEG is what I choose to use. So there you go. Let's talk about the last terminal tip of the day, and this is one that I also use a lot because I am a hider, not a shower. Not a shower, not a grower. I don't know what any of that means. Okay, when you go into the music application, there are a few ways you can get rid of it. You can close the window with Command W, which doesn't work because I have to start listening, Command W, and the application stays running. You can push Command Q and the application quits altogether. You can push Command M and it uses that nice scale effect we used earlier to go back into the dock. Or you can use Command H. I use Command H all the time. It hides the application. It gets it out of the way, it doesn't put it in my dock, but it's still running. The problem with Command H is that, well, you kind of forget that that application is running. You don't know if the window's on a full screen window in another location or inside of another space if you use spaces and mission control. You don't know if it's down here in the dock, if you've got a bunch of application windows minimized. It's confusing, and so there is this fantastic command that I'm going to push enter on, and check this out. Now, when I hide the application, it just becomes transparent. And so you can look in an instant at your dock and see if an application is running with a window open, but is hiding. There you go. It's the way to do it. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you liked it, give it a like. If you didn't, well, that other button doesn't do anything anyway, so knock yourself out. But most importantly, and as always, stay snazzy. I know what you're thinking. It's time for another Hackintosh video. No, that's not a Hackintosh. but it is running Mac OS. Extremely well, I might add. Our Cinebench CPU compute score on this machine in Mac OS is 4 times faster than the highest end Mac Pro. But like I said, it isn't a Hackintosh. In fact, it's just running Mac OS as a cute little side gig. This computer is a whole lot more. Every time I do a Hackintosh build, I have to do a disclaimer that goes something along these lines.
Prior to building a Hackintosh, consult your doctor. Expect to have some compatibility issues with your hardware, difficulty getting every feature to work like HandDock, AirDrop, iMessage, etc. Problems applying future system updates, broken hardware acceleration features, dual booting from the same SSD, stable and hot plugging of USB and Thunderbolt devices, any Thunderbolt support whatsoever. Your computer may also have better thermals than a real Mac, which may be considered undesirable. You may have the instant urge to scrap Mac OS and stick to Windows instead. You'll find yourself Googling tutorials on how to turn your iPad Pro into a tennis racket, and to begin to consider the Apple Pippin the best product ever made, etc.
And because of that, today it's a little different. We're putting down the Hackintosh tools and running Mac OS in a virtual machine. Now, a virtual machine is exactly what it sounds like. A program that runs an operating system, in this case Mac OS, on a host operating system on your computer, in this case Linux, and it does it virtually. Now, there are a lot of benefits that come from running Mac OS in a virtual machine.
Take a hard right, select Zone 5, you can extend and escape. You made a bad choice. Sorry.
Aircraft 1 performs a split S? That's the last thing you should do. The MiG's right on your tail. Freeze there, please. The MiG has you in his gun sight. What were you thinking at this point?
You don't have time to think up there. If you think, you're dead.
That's a big gamble with a $30 million plane, Lieutenant. Unfortunately, the gamble worked. The MiG never got a clean shot. Maverick makes an aggressive vertical move here, comes over the top, and he defeats the bandit with a missile shot. The encounter was a victory, but I think we've shown it as an example of what not to do. Next.
Gutsiest move I ever saw.
Now then, this is a perfect example of a textbook maneuver. Watch
Gentlemen, this is Lot 19. Multiple aircraft, multiple bogies. The trading is half over. The competition for the Top Gun trophy remains tight. First place, Iceman. Second place, Maverick. Just 2 points behind.
There they are. 3 miles left, 10 o'clock. I don't think they see us yet.
Okay, I see them. 284's left 10 o'clock level, continue left turn.
Good morning, gentlemen. The temperature's 110 degrees. Holy shit, it's Viper! Viper's up here. Great. Oh, shit.
Right. He's probably saying, holy shit, it's Maverick and Goose.
Yeah, I'm sure he's saying that.
I've got my eye on the northern bogey.
Roger, I got the southern guy.
Hollywood, you've got the lead. I'll cover you.
Break now, Jester.
Hollywood, we're losing Viper. Let's just stay on Jester.
Roger, I'm on him.
Goose, find Viper. He's out there somewhere.
Stay with Hollywood, man. We're covering his wing.
Goose, there's Viper. 3 o'clock low.
Stay with Hollywood, Mav. We're his cover. Don't you leave me, Maverick.
Hollywood, you're looking good. I'm going after Viper.
God damn you, Maverick. Mav, don't leave him.
Goose, Hollywood's okay. I want Viper. Stand by. Viper's coming down.
Holy shit, we're head to head. I can't believe we're doing this.
Rock and roll! Here's our chance. It's a big one, Goose. Come on, God damn it.
Come on, man. Keep coming.
Okay, Sidewinder missile select. Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Come around, come around. That's it, that's it.
Jesus, this guy's got it. Goose, where's he going?
Come on, come on, come on. Keep coming, keep coming.
Come on, baby.
Damn, that's getting good.
He's too close for missiles, Goose. I'm switching to guns.
Come on, come on, come on.
Stick with it. Stick with it. Hold it. Goose, check our tail. Shit, there's Chester.
Bingo, Maverick's dead. You're out of there, kid.
Defense Department regrets to inform you that your sons are dead because they were stupid. Great balls of fun. Okay, knock it out, gentlemen. Let's go home. Viper has the lead.
It's not you flying.
married with Penny Benjamin.
Did he? Well, that's great.
He tells me about all of them.
Uh-huh.
How my little angel goose goes home early for church, and you always go home with the hot women.
All right. Thank you, Carol. But I'm gonna go embarrass myself with Goose for a while.
Woohoo!
You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Think about your love drives a man insane. You broke my will. Oh, what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
I would love to be able to warn you off about Maverick, but I just love him to death. You know, I've known Pete for a lot of years now. I'm telling you one thing's for certain. There are hearts great wide open all over the world tonight.
Why?
Because unless you are a fool, a boy is off the market. He is 100% prime time in love with you. Hey, Goose, you big stud!
That's me, honey.
Take me to bed or lose me forever.
Show me the way home, honey. Come on, Brad, let's sing with the family. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Think about your love, got the man insane. You broke my will, oh, the thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Big stud. Take me to bed, lose me forever.
Okay, gentlemen, this is Hop 31. 2 weeks to graduation. Top Gun trophy still up for grabs, so every point counts.
Well, it's bottom of the ninth, the score is tied. It's time for the big one. You up for this one, Maverick? Just a walk in the park, Kazansky. Contact, multiple bogeys, 165. 2 miles. Looks like they're going away from us. Oh, I see him. Tally ho, right 2 o'clock. I'm in. I'm in. Son of a bitch cut me off. Come on, Jesus Christ. Ice, take the shot. Come on, Ice, get the hell out of there. I can't get the angle. I'm too close for missiles. I'm switching the guns. Ice, fire, or clear. Look at this. Jesus Christ. I can take a shot right here. I need another 20 seconds, then I've got it. I'm moving in. I've got the shot. Come on, Mav. Let's get in there. Come on, Mav. Maverick's getting impatient. Come on, take the shot. 10 more seconds, then I've got him. Come on, Ice. Get the hell out of there. Let's do it, Mav. Ice, come off high right. I'm in. 5 more seconds. Come off high right, Ike. I'm in. I'm off. Shit. Where is Joe Wash? Oh, shit. This is not good. Shit, we got a flame out, man. Engine 1 is out. Engine 2 is out. Goose, I'm losing control. control. I'm losing control. I can't control it. It won't recover. Shit. Come on up, Babs. We're out of control. This is not good. This is not good.
Mayday, mayday. Babs in trouble. He's in a flat spin. He's heading out to sea.
Altitude 8,000, 7,000, 6, we're at 6, Bob. I'm head forward, Goose. I can't reach the ejection handle. Goose, you're gonna have to put this out. I can't reach the ejection handle. Eject. I'm trying. Eject. Watch the canopy.
Stall the engine. Was produced. There was no way Lieutenant Mitchell could either see or avoid the general substantial story. Therefore, the Board of Inquiry finds Lieutenant Keith Mitchell was not involved in the accident of 24th of July. Lieutenant Mitchell's record will be clear to this incident. Lieutenant Mitchell is restored to flight status without further delay. These proceedings are closed. Get him a fine soon. Come on, get in there. Engage.
All right, you got a bogey at 2 o'clock low, Maverick. You got the angle. Beat the cake, pal.
Take the shot. Take the shot.
You can engage any time, Maverick. Hey, where the hell are you going?
It's not good. It doesn't look good.
What do you mean it doesn't look good? It doesn't get to look any better than that. Hey, man, we could have had him. Hey, we could have had him, man.
I will fire when I am goddamn good and ready. You got that?
Can't get back in the saddle. Okay. It's only been a few days. No, he just might not make it back.
Keep sending him up.
I'm sorry about the goose.
Yes, sir.
Holly.
Yes.
Sector 2. Maverick, you back him up with Merlin on ready 5.
Yes, sir.
Rise!
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
It's not personal, but with regard to Maverick, is he the best?
I know it's on your mind, Anthony. Just get on it.
You've got a pair of bogeys, 12 o'clock, 15 miles.
Voodoo 1, 090, radar contact 15 miles. They're doing 500 knots.
Roger, that's your bogey.
Come dead ahead, 15 miles. Airspeed is 600 knots. They're 15,000 feet now, dead ahead, 10 miles. Airspeed is still increasing. 800 knots. Dead ahead now, 8 miles. Dead ahead now, 8 miles. Wood, you got them? Not yet, I can't see them. They must be close. Getting a hard on.
Okay, Wood, I'm taking the lead. Let's identify him.
Roger, Rice, you got the lead. I'm on your left side, a little low.
Mavericks up and ready to alert 5. Good.
Problem here. Now bringing up 4 aircraft on radar. Not 1 pair, 2 pair. Repeat, 4 bogeys. Wood, we got 4 bogeys. Wrong! Make that 5!
There's 5, sir.
That's 5?
Yes, sir.
Oh, shit! He's got a radar lock on us! Get out of there, Hollywood! Get out of there, goddammit! Right left! I'm hit! We're coming apart! I can't control it! Hold on, 0 control me, we're going down! What's been hit? Shit! What's been hit? Voodoo 1, what's been hit? We've lost Hollywood, repeat, we've lost Hollywood.
Launch Maverick on alert 5.
Got a video on Hollywood Wolfman. And launch the rescue helicopter immediately. Maverick's airborne. Nice man, what's your position? 090 at 180 miles. Yeah, we're coming to the left. 3 makes dead ahead, coming down the left side. I'm going after him. I'm bringing her out to the left. We got 4 on our tail. That makes 6 of them. Lead big is closing in the guns range. He's firing, break right. Mustang, this is Voodoo 1. We are totally defensive. Launch the alert fighter.
Where are they?
160
60 miles and closing in fast, sir.
Ready, Willard and Simpkin. I'll catch 3 and 4.
Maverick supersonic. I'll be there in 30 seconds.
Move your ass. Get up here. I'm engaged at 5. Repeat 5. I'm in deep shit.
What about Willard and Simpkin?
Both catapults are broken. We can't launch any aircraft yet, sir.
How long?
10 minutes.
Bullshit, 10 minutes. The thing will be over in 2 minutes. Get on it.
One make 12 o'clock high. One make 12 o'clock high. Watch your back. Watch your back. Right. Shit, that was close. How about the belt down here? Where the hell are you?
Come on, kid. Hang in there.
Jesus Christ.
Maverick, how about some help? Engage, goddammit! Maverick, we got a big on our tail. Watch out, watch out! Shit, we just flew right through his jet wash! Get control out, get control! Cover me, Mav. Okay, let's get in there. Well, we gotta help ice. Come on, let's get back and engage, Maverick. Come on. Get in there, Maverick.
It's no good.
God damn it! Maverick's disengaging. I knew it. Shit.
God damn it, Maverick.
In there, Maverick. You can't leave him. Come on. Maverick, what the hell are you doing? Maverick, get in there, for Christ's sake. Ice is in trouble. Just got no water. Get in there, Maverick. You won't last down there alone. Get in the fight, for Christ's sake. Maverick! Maverick!
Maverick's re-engaging, sir.
I can't get him off my tail.
Ice, I've got you being dead ahead. I've got him dead ahead. Good tone. I got good tone. I got tone. I got tone. Fire it!
Where are they?
155 miles.
Two bigs dead ahead. Closer, 800 miles an hour.
I see him. I see him. I'm gonna take him down the left side.
Oh my God. Ice is right below us. He's got a MiG on his tail. He's firing. Brake left. Brake left. He overshot. He overshot me.
Coming in, Ice. I'm coming in. Got two MiGs dead ahead.
I got him, Matt. One MiG passing between us. You got a MiG on your left. On your left. 3 o'clock. He's gonna fire. He's gonna fire. Maverick, take the guy to the north. Check the guy to the north.
Banking left. Banking left.
There he is.
Get him, Ice. Get him.
Okay, you guys, I'm coming in. Maverick, got a MiG coming around on our tail. We gotta get out of here.
I can't leave Ice.
Still coming around. He's still coming around. He's gonna get behind us.
I'm not leaving my wingman.
I'm on his tail. I'm on his tail. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. I'm going for the shot right now. Roger, engage. I got radar lock. Control. I'm taking a shot. Fire. Bingo.
Flash that sucker, yeah! Ice, watch out, there's a MiG to your right. He's firing!
I'm hit! I'm hit! We're hit in the right engine! I'm shutting it down! I'm shutting it down!
Coming in, Ice, coming in. Ice, that bogey's still behind you. I'm maneuvering for a shot.
Stay with him, man! Stay with him! Take the shot! Nail him! Nail him!
Shit, Ice, I can't get a toe.
Shoot, Maverick! I can't get him off my tail! Maverick, we're hit! We're hit again!
Okay, all systems are functioning, we're okay. Ice, on the count of 3, brake hard right. 3, 2, 1, brake right!
110 miles, sir.
God damn it. I got him. He's right on us. Between our tails. You haven't lost him. He's still with us. What are you doing? You're slowing down.
I'm bringing him in closer, Merlin.
You're gonna do what? This is it, Maverick.
I'm gonna hit the brakes. He'll fly right by.
Shit, he's gonna get a lock on us.
I got a good lock. Fire him.
Woo! Splash forward!
Mustang, this is 223. Remaining legs are bugging out. Mustang, this is Maverick requesting flyby.
Negative Ghost Rider, the battery's full.
Excuse me, something I should know about? You are still dangerous. You can be my wingman anytime. Bullshit. You can be mine.
Feel to be on the front page of every newspaper in the English-speaking world. Even though the other side denies the incident, congratulations.
Thanks.
They gave you your choice of duty, son. Anything, anywhere. Can you believe that shit? Where do you think you want to go?
I thought of being an instructor.
Sir. Top Gun?
Yes, sir.
God help us.
wrong.
So today, we're going to bring the cast into this room 2 at a time because they think I'm doing the rattlesnake stuff. But that's just a ruse to get them in here so we can lock the door, turn out the lights, and make their life a living hell. This is Silence of the Lambs. Dave England, Aaron McGehee. We have Jules here. Are you excited? Jules, snake guy. I'm out. Snake guy. Aaron. You guys are just peanut gallery for this. He's got a bunch from Diamondback Rattlesnake. He's going to release it on the ground. Alliance is going to take a cookie and set it on its head. And then I'm going to try and take the cookie off its head.
This is Western Diamondback Rattlesnake. Very, very nervous. He will bite you if you get too close, and he will kill you. Trust me. Okay. Let's bring it. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Can you feel it hurt?
Stop, dude. It's going as fast as that rattlesnake. I'm really scared for Johnny right now.
Alright, let's put the snake right in this guy's mind. It's time to do this.
Alright, switch the bucket. Let's get the snake out. Is there an antidote here? That's what it's called, anti-venom, not antidote. What's antidote mean? I don't even know. What's it?
That's just like, oh my fucking God.
No! God damn. Oh, fuck you guys!
Why are we the only ones in here now?
Hello, my name's Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to hell.
Oh, fuck. Fucking rattlesnake in here?
Aaron, what are you doing? Don't use me as a human shield. So if we get bit, we die. Are you serious?
This is so fucked up. I knew this was gonna fucking happen. Why the fuck would we go down to the basement? Ah!
Come on. Nah, what the fuck? Come on. Come on. Ah! What the fuck? Dude, what the hell?
What the fuck?
Oh, let's go! Stop! Oh! Fuck you guys, dude! Ah.
Hey, where are you? I'm gonna break that fucking door down.
Get it, Aaron.
Fuck this shit! Ah, fuck you guys! Fucking get the fuck out of here!
Alright, now go bucket. Keep the snake shut.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Hey, what? Guys, stay on the couch. The fucking snake. Stay still. Hey, guys, honestly, be fucking chill.
This is not cool. Seriously, get me the fuck out of here. Oh, fuck off!
There's a snake, Dave!
Where are you, Aaron? Aaron! Aaron! What the fuck? Aaron!
How am I supposed to even help you, Dave?
I just need to know you're there.
Aaron. Ah! Fuck this!
Aaron!
Oh, I got a weapon now, motherfuckers. I got a weapon.
Don't hit me, Aaron!
No, I got a
Aaron!
weapon.
Don't hit me!
Fuck it.
Aaron, don't fucking not hit me! Damn, not hit me!
There's a door! Dave, over here! Dave, this way!
Yeah, right!
Dave,
Fuck
this
that
way!
door! Fuck that! There's something bad over there,
No,
bro!
I promise!
No, you know shit!
There's a door! I just opened it, I swear to God!
Oh, wow, how convenient!
Come this way, I swear to God, I'm not lying.
Fuck that door!
You're on your own then. Fuck.
This is fucking scary. Seriously, dude, this is fucked up.
Oh.
It's not cool, dude.
Fuck! What the fuck is that? Oh my god, fuck! Oh, fuck! Did I just get bit?
Did you get bit?
Dude, I got bit by something. What the fuck was that?
Fuck, Jeff, he got fucking bit. Turn around and get Jeff, this is fucking unsafe.
There's no lights.
Oh my god, dude. It's so fucked up.
You got snake bit. We gotta get you medical attention. Here, come here. We gotta get him to the fucking medic.
I'm gonna have a fucking heart attack, dude.
Just, okay. Just go straight. Okay?
Motherfucker! Oh, I don't even know where my glasses are. What the fuck? Oh, great. Fucking awesome. What the fuck is this? Holy shit! Motherfucker! Oh my god! Ow! Fucking bitch!
Zach, you alright? Holy shit. I heard Zach, it sounded like he was getting murdered in here.
I thought this was like the only way to get out. So I just climbed over it, and then it broke.
Let Aaron out.
Let me out.
No, we're done.
Outside now?
We're done. We're done.
No, we're not.
God.
Fucking like the rest of my life, I'm gonna have nightmares. I want to go now. Open that fucking door.
Go out that one. This one is locked.
No, fuck you. I'll start a new life in here. I will fucking live here.
How's it looking?
Moved up.
Are we sponsored by Glide?
No, not yet. Just say this is Body Surf. We don't even. You guys.
I want to say my name. This is Zach. I'm Jasper. And this is Body Surfing, motherfucker.
I'ma show you what it's for. When you drop it to the floor, wanna eat it up. When you move down, got your mic in your hand, wanna eat it up.
Rockstar. I'm Poopy's big-time movie star. And today, we're big wave surfing.
Okay, knocked off.
You got no arm.
You had no arm? Oh, that sucks.
And then came the heartbreaking news that horses don't have arms.
I'm Eric Renata, and this is a horse race.